Black Friday. Black Friday is the biggest dollar day of the holiday season. The clock starts ticking and it's on early in the morning. Some stores opened up last night before 10 o'clock p.m. Every marketing entity unleashes their well-mapped out plan to take all your financial resources. Take it from who? From you, the consumer. That's right. Just take a minute and reflect on how much cash capital you spend during this time of the year. Yes, your hard-earned dollar. Even some of your savings. To do what? Maybe to feel good about yourself? Or to say you gave somebody something? Maybe they'll leave you alone. Or to extend that olive branch to someone rather than an apology. Whatever the case may be, it is a time of the year most people want to celebrate. Celebrate what is the question? The underground has been busy all night getting things set up for the streets today. The rules out there that matter are, it ain't illegal unless you get caught. So Holiday City State is in for a hell of a sleigh ride. Back on top of Snow Mount, business is as usual. Everything was on schedule for operations starting at 5:30 a.m. Automatically, the equipment does self-checks, output data, and apply updates to software. Then a printout of all the devices' diagnostic report goes straight to Brainy's printer, and a backup copy to his wireless virtual pad. Quite naturally, he is the only one who would know what to do in the event that anything ever went wrong. Around 6 o'clock a.m., Zeke goes into the mechanic bay and powers up the shop. Alpha also begins at 6 a.m., monitoring the settings on the ecological system, control of variant heat, utilizing thermal harvesting, along with renewable solar energy, powering artificial lights, and the hydroponic chambers definitely safeguarded this year's produce. It was so unstable this year for a lot of areas due to the climate. First, the heat caused this year's drought, followed by flooding caused by Hurricane Isaac. Much needed help needed to go to those hit by Sandy on the East Coast. By 0700 hours, everybody is in their designated spot. The PTS is so awesome because all a person has to do is give a voice command as to their destination. The route is automatically mapped out and an estimated ETA is given based on probability, accurate to 1/10 of a second. At 0730, Bishop is usually sitting at the table reading the paper and watching the Channel 4 Eye on News. While he was having a banana glass of orange pineapple juice with a piece of honey wheat toast topped with melted butter, Mia arrives to the table. They cordially speak to one another. Good morning. This is the start of a new day. Neither one of them knows how significant this day will be. Bishop was such a gentleman. He started the idle conversation by complimenting his wife, the woman he had faithfully loved for the past 18 months. He said, "Baby, you're looking very fresh today as usual." Mia looks at B with a smile and says, "Thank you, Bishop." Then returns their compliment with him and said, "You're looking quite dapper yourself this morning, sir. How about you take off and stay in late?" She knew B would never compromise his position as commander of his corporation for a quickie, or maybe not so quick roll in the hay. Bishop said, "Baby, as tempting as this might be right now, you know I must take a rain check on that. And you need to be getting to your office, Miss Employee Relations." Yeah, Bishop gave me a remedial job dealing with the employees. As the story progressed, you will know exactly how dedicated she was to employee relations. Mia just pouts and she starts talking about how she wants to spend more time with him. B just looks at her and says, "Mia, please, go on and get out of here. This is a busy day." Mia looks at him and just says, "Bye-bye," and heads to her personal elevator. After Mia has left Bishop, he goes on the top of his surface dwelling. Here he can feel the warmth of the sun as it beams in through the windows. The business day starts with phone conversations made to various investors, multiple conference calls with project managers at the same time watching the market. The underground operations are in full swing by 9:30. After robotics have loaded the packages on 12 trucks, ELF drivers listed friendly, greedy, hairy, innocent, jolly, mega, Remy after he takes a breathalyzer check, Sneaky, Talky, Willie, Xavier, and Zeke. Once they head out, the second set of 12 trucks are backed in position and ready to load. In the event the robotics don't automatically start the next step, Brainy is sent an alert message. He can remotely engage the robotics to start the process from his WVP. Fortunately, Zeke does a very good job making sure all the mechanisms are working in top condition. The mall and stores are packed with people trying to get the best savings of the year. No matter how the economy is, people do shop. On the street, it was popping also. By noontime, the dealers had started putting out the new product. It was strictly enforced that prior to sending out these packages, that the chiefs make sure the proper amount of cut was placed on it because the product came in too strong. The average user is in such a hurry to get high, they just start using their drug of choice without giving a thought that this stuff could be lethal. Not all dealers give a damn about the users. They just want their money to come in as fast as it can. Only time will tell what is going to happen with this new holiday flavor on the streets. It was no later than 1:30 p.m. when the first emergency call came into 911. There was a man's body found next to a dumpster who had appeared to have had an overdose. An ambulance along with the coroner and the crime scene investigators were dispatched to the scene. As for any case that involved the coroner, Detective Calvin Ringwater, aka Detective C, has to go see if it was a homicide. Detective Derek Davis, aka Detective D, of the Narcotics Division has to check for controlled substances. The location of this incident was on the west side. It was like 7 miles away from the tow yard, and most likely that the crew got sloppy by putting the product out raw. The closer you are to the source, you better keep a clean record, then follow orders. Whoever was in charge of this territory is held responsible. They have to do things correct, because when you're sitting at the mob's back door, you need to know that the price for mistakes is too high. Word is bond, and if you're in this business, oops count. Detective C and D arrived about the same time. The area had been taped off by the police first on the scene. The ambulance people were standing behind the lines, waiting for the crime scene crew to do its retrieval of evidence and photos. It didn't take much detective work to see that this was drug related. There was a scarf still tied around the man's arm and what looked to be a diabetic syringe next to the body. Detective D pulls out a plastic bag from his coat that had more plastic bags and some rubber gloves in it. He placed a rubber glove on his hand and picked up the syringe. Because it was a needle exposed, Detective D reached in his other coat pocket and bring out a needle box. This was used to protect anyone who may handle this evidence. There was no evidence or no knowledge of what the victim's health was like or if he was infected with anything, and there's no room for chance in this situation. Detective C asks Detective D, "What do you think?" Do you think this man had any enemies? Detective D replied, it's hard to tell, but by the looks of him, he was definitely pretty destitute, based on the dirty clothes and the stench of the body odor. As soon as he said that, there was a flash from a reporter's camera. He was taking pictures of the body. Detective D turned to the cameraman and said, hey, who said you can come in here? Get back. The cameraman steps back and says, I'm with the HCS, the global newspaper. Detective D said, I don't care who you are and who you are with. This is my crime scene, and I don't want anyone contaminating it. Detective C steps towards the cameraman and said, you heard him. Now get back before I put these handcuffs on you and take your camera. The cameraman felt a bit threatened, which he should. He obeyed their request. As any other time, something goes on and people were all outside looking at what was going on. The scene was ready for the ambulance people to get the body. They picked him up and put him on a gurney, covering his head and body. Once the body was taken up and away, Detective D noticed an empty plastic bag and 2 pieces of an empty capsule. Also a spoon which appeared to be burnt at the bottom. The inner concavity of the spoon, there was a brownish residue. Also in the plastic bag was the word seasoned greetings. Detective D then placed each one of the items in his own plastic bag. Detective D then said, okay, I have what I need to get started. He raises up the tape and gets out, and Detective C follows him. Around 3:00 p.m., Bishop is sitting at his desk going over some of the bills and expense accounts. Mia comes in and takes a seat on the love seat behind him as she is texting on her cell phone. After a few minutes, you hear her cell phone vibrate. B looks over his glasses at her. She reads the text, closes the phone, and gives B this little cute, innocent giggle. Then places her cell phone back in her pocket. B doesn't say a word. He just continues to check his emails. Then Mia starts the conversation. So what are you gonna do tonight, baby? Bishop looks over his little sexy wife and responded, I'm going to be going over the names on this holiday list. Probably going to be checking it twice. Then he asks her, what's up? Mia gives B a little sexy snicker and then said, well, I was wondering if... She pauses for a second or two, then she just comes out with it. I want to go to the casino, and I need you to give me some cash, Bishop. B doesn't look surprised, because she does this almost every day. Mia has a serious gambling problem. B feels it's cheaper just to give her a couple of $100 rather than pay for the high-priced shrimp Mia was going to. So he reaches in his trousers and pulls out some cash and a debit card. And he peels off the wad and takes off 10 $20 bills and says, here, Mia, $200. And here's a debit card. If you need anything, call me and I will transfer what you need. They transfer possession of the cash and the card. B looks at her and asks, I suppose you're going to ask Sneaky can drive you today, huh? This has been also a pattern that she has done for several months. Mia tries to look innocent, then replies, yes, I do need a driver. Can you let him off from the loading dock? I won't stay out past his shift. It won't cost you any overtime. Bishop answers her, okay, Mia, be safe. Mia gratefully says, thanks, baby. She gives B a big hug and kisses him on the jaw. She then zooms out like she had a flight to catch. B goes back to working on the computer. As he was going over some of the bills, he ran across the cell phone bill. He opened it up and noticed there were several pages of text, mostly from the same number. And then he looked, and it was one of the numbers from his employee phones. It was nothing wrong with some of the workers to be calling Mia for whatever during the holiday season. She has become very active with the employee relationship program. There was just something a little more suspicious. It was only one number that called after 7 p.m. So Bishop decided to check its employee phone records. He pulls out the list and looked at the number 1233366. As he scrolls down the list of numbers of his employees, he runs across the number, and it belongs to Sneaky Elf. B. Claw sees that not only has Sneaky Elf been late night texting Mia, but he has a crib away from the Snowflake estate. B picks up his cell phone and calls Money. The phone rings twice and Money picks up. Hello? Money answered knowing it was B on the caller ID. Bishop responded, Hey Money, bring me the spreadsheets for the past 2 quarters. I need to go over something with you. Money replies, Yes sir B, I'll be right over. Money gets off the phone and grabs the spreadsheets and heads down his elevator to the underground pneumatic transport system. In the meantime, Mia had contacted Sneaky. He pulls around in her Lotus Elise Series 2 sports car Bishop had bought for her last birthday. Once in the car, Sneaky asked her, How much cash did he give you? Mia told him, a couple of hundred. I told him I wanted to go to the casino again. Sneaky then asked, How long do you think he is going to keep believing you? Mia looked at Sneaky and said, Man, please, stop worrying. B is so wrapped up in getting ready for the holiday, he is not going to say anything. Sneaky was like, whatever. Then he asked, So where to? Mia had this devilish smirk as she looked at Sneaky. Then she responded, Take me to the PX so I can get my medicine. Then to our place. Sneaky turns on the radio and continues down the road. Money is almost at B's spot on the PTS. Only a few people have security clearance to access B's house. Bishop was checking the balances of his accounts when the elevator door opened, and it was Money. B said, Come on over here, Money, and let me see what the expenses have been over the past 6 months. Money walks over to his employer and close friend. He hands him the reports and says, Here you go, boss. I have broken all the expenses down. Except for a few debit charges Mia made, everything else seems okay. Bishop looks over the paperwork then asks, Well, when did Sneaky move out his module? Money had this blank stare on his face, not really knowing how to break the news to his good friend, but said, What the hey, and began to speak. He really didn't move out. He just is never there much. Everyone knows he's been driving Mia, taking her places. We never talk about it much in the shop because you never said anything. Bishop pulls up his screen where he had minimized the page with the phone bill. Well, on here the address roster says Sneaky Elf resides at 3223 Honey Castle Court. Money looked a bit bewildered before he went on to tell B this next. He said, 3223 Honey Castle Court is the townhouse that Mia asked me to rent. She said you wanted her to have a place to get away from this hectic atmosphere. From being around the shop and around here, you know, a little R&R. This was the first Bishop had heard of this and responded with a bit of surprise. Oh, really? So why is Sneaky Elf addressed the same as Mia's R&R spot? By this time, Money felt, what's the use? He told B, he said, since she needs him to drive her, he quickly rephrases his statement, take her places, she lets him stay in the guest room, I guess. B doesn't break away from his natural poker face to show any sign of worry. Then he said, okay. Then he changes the conversation to things that matter the most to him, and he asks Money, so how are we looking with the holiday to-do list? Money knew in his gut Bishop was stricken a bit by the news of Mia's behavior, but knew B, he was not slow and he would take care of this. He went on to say to B, we're on point. The economy has not changed people from doing what they do every year around this time. You know, since the election, the president has asked everyone to be smart with their spending and help the struggling economy by supporting local businesses and their communities. Bishop replies, that's good. That's why I try to keep things right around me. The more people can smile, it will be easier for them to share that smile with someone else. Bishop as a person is very unselfish in his thoughts. Money complimented B by saying, you're a wonderful person, B. That's why me and most of the L's and FS are loyal to you. B responded, I appreciate knowing that, Money. I really do. I'm going to finish up here and then take a ride into the city to clear my mind. Money said, okay, boss. Sounds great. Just let me know if you need anything else. Bishop said, that's cool, Money, but I'll be fine. Even though in the back of Money's mind, he knew B was about to do something, so he took this opportunity to lighten the air up in the room. He changed the conversation by telling B, I'm going to catch the PTS over at Yo-Yo's place and chill with her. As Money was heading towards the elevator, B said to Money, have fun and be safe. The economy is okay, but not good enough for Elfs and Elfettes to make families without planning it. Money kind of chuckled at B's statement. He replied as he got on the elevator, don't worry about me, B. You know why they call me Money. Bishop started out with yes, because the first law is, then they both said it in unity, the purse first. They laugh and Money heads out. B continues to look through some records and starts to calculate all the pocket money he had given Mia over the past 6 months. In his head, he goes through the records. Let me see, there are 7 days in a week. Mia gets money from me 6 of those 7 days, so that's $1,200 a week times 4 weeks a month. So that's $4,800 times 6 months. That's $28,800. Bishop is getting a little bit pissed. Then he sees that the debit charges were heavier around the time she's supposed to have moved into the townhouse. Thinking to himself, I'll just jump in my car and ride by this townhouse and see what really is going on. Bishop straightens up his desk work and puts all his folders and notes neatly in bins. He picks up his cell phone and makes another call. This time he calls Bluette. The phone rings twice. Bluette answers. Hello? Bishop replies, hey Bluette, I want you to get my SLR. Get Blue Ann to get my Jeep, and Bud Buddy to come and go in the city. Bluette says, yes sir, Mr. Claus. I will be there in 10 minutes. B replies, thanks. I will be waiting for you down the stairs. Bluette and Blue Ann have their own section next to Bishop's home. All Bluette said to Blue Ann was, B needs us. Call Bud Buddy. That's Xavier's nickname. Blue Ann grabs her jacket and cell phone. She calls Xavier. He had made it back to the docks. He answers, hey. Blue Ann said, Bishop needs us. Meet us in B's carport. Xavier said, let me grab my bag. I'll be right there. They both hung up. Bluette and Blue Ann make it to the carport. Bluette grabs the keys for the SLR off the wall. Blue Ann went to the loaner car garage and grabbed the keys to the Jeep so her and Xavier could ride. In the bag, Bud Buddy had some of the most sophisticated technology available. When Bishop arrived, everybody showed that they were concerned. The first thing they asked was, what's going on, B? B looked at each one of them and replied, I have some verifying to do. Bluette looks at Blue Ann and Bud Buddy. It is common knowledge everyone knew what Mia had been doing but B. He was the last to get the memo. Xavier spoke up and asked, "What's the plan, B?" Bishop came on out and said, "Well, it appears that I've been paying for a condo away from the Snowflake Estates for Mia. She has been telling me that she is going to the casino every day, and Sneaky has been driving her." They all look around at each other, trying to figure out if B was talking about driving the car or driving Mia. Each of his close friends had this blank stare on their faces. By the feeling in his gut, he felt a hunch that they already knew what was going on. Bishop went on to say, "I'm not the slowest kid on the block. I know he has been driving on," he paused a second, then says, "car. So I just want to know if they are spending the time together away from the estate at the condo." Bud Buddy speaks up and says to his friend, "B, he kind of clears his throat and said, "Well, we, speaking for everyone standing here, we here for you, dog." Bishop looked at them in a somber look and says, "I know, buddy. That's why I brought you guys with me. If you have your goodie bag, let's go check things out." Bluette and Blue Ann said, "Come on, y'all, let's go. We driving." Bluette popped the doors on the SLR and Blue Ann opened the doors to the Jeep. And everyone got in the cars. Once inside the SLR, Bishop pulls out his wireless virtual pad and enters the address 3223 Honey Castle Court. GPS tracking said, "Locking your position, creating your route. Destination is 6.6 miles, estimated drive time 12.2 minutes. Proceed towards the Snow Mount Tunnel. Head north, highway will merge east." Bluette looks at B and said, "Okay, here we go." He looked back at her and didn't say a word. Then she put the car in drive and started driving to the condo. And Blue Ann followed. Mia and Sneaky had made it from the PX and was almost to the condo. Mia had taken some swigs of her goose and was already getting loose. She laughing with her right hand turning up the bottle to her head, and her left hand was on Sneaky's inner thigh, showing her wild antics as she chuckles about B. She say, "You know, Bishop said he was gonna send me to Vegas one day just so I could gamble." She takes another swig and says, "But here I am with your broke ass." Sneaky didn't say nothing. He just looked over at her thinking, "This witch." Then Mia said, "Yeah, but I like you because you're a cute broke ass." Sneaky gives her a smirk of a smile as he pulls out his cell phone and texts somebody. Blue Ann was talking to Bud Buddy as he put together his belt of needed accessories. She was saying, "I hope B doesn't lose it if we catch Mia in the wrong." Bud Buddy said, "Don't worry. You know Bishop is a thinker, not an impulsive lunatic." Blue Ann said, "Yeah, you're right. I think he'll do more damage with the information in his face. Neither one of us can say what the outcome of this ugly situation will be." Bud Buddy said, "Yeah, but we both can say it is ugly." The girls turned on the radio as they drove on down the road. Mia and Sneaky had made it up into the condo. After Mia had taken her jacket off, she went straight to her closet. There she grabbed her lingerie, some panties and a bra. and laid them across the bed. Then walked into the shower room and got naked. She let the water run long enough to get hot, then got in. She asked Sneaky to get her some ice in a glass for her drink. She had drank half of the pint in the car. I guess she wants the other half on the rocks. Sneaky went on into the kitchen and got her a glass for some ice. He said, "When you come out, I'll put some ice in your glass. I don't want it to melt." She shouted out from the shower, "Okay, thanks." He then went over and poured himself a drink of that dark liquor, Hennessy. Right about this time, the GPS on B's WVP said, "Next intersection, turn left onto 32nd Street." There was a stop sign at the corner of the street. After a brief, safe stop, both cars proceeded left onto 32nd Street. Then the GPS said, "Keep straight 1/4 mile, then turn left onto Honey Castle Court." B raises his head and looks at Bluette. She looks at him and asks, "Are you okay?" He nods his head and says, "Yes." The GPS says at the next intersection, turn left and your destination will be 200 feet on the right. Once they arrived at the condo, B asked Bluette, "Turn off the headlights." The precision of the motor ran smooth and quiet. He told her to pull in a parking space several houses down away from the front of the condo. Bluette pulled in front of them and parked. B tangled Xavier. Bud Buddy answered, "Yeah, B. I have my gear on, I'm ready to go. By the way, I know this area well from when I used to work on the Holiday City Cable Company truck. The poles are in the back and I should be able to get up and get a clear view of there." Bishop said, "Okay, handle up on that. Link me in." Meaning sync B's signal with Xavier's. Xavier had on a denim overall suit with a microphone clipped to his shoulder. High-tech wise, Bud Buddy had a Wi-Fi high-powered zoom binocular attached with a sonar listening device. He gets out the car and walks toward the condo. Between two buildings, he finds a passageway to the back. The closer he came to Mia's unit, he noticed that the lights were on. She had sheer curtains up to the window, but he made it look so easy. The way he went up the back of the pole, and once on top of the post, he was able to get a clear view of the upstairs loft that Mia and Sneaky were in. Inconspicuously, Buddy was able to get up the pole, possibly blending in with the trees behind him. From the angle that he was on, the pole was in relationship to the window Buddy was looking through, made enough distortion to obscure their vision if anyone was there. Mia had made it up out of the shower into her camisole and was laying across the couch when the video went live. Sneaky was just handing her ice-filled glass of goose. But Buddy had good visual and audio over the inside of their R&R spot. They had no idea that B could see. As Bud Buddy looked in on them, he observed the two of them just chilling. Bud Buddy tangled B. B answered, "I'm online." Xavier said, "Okay." The two hung up and the action began. Mia positioned herself comfortably on the sofa with a glass in hand. Sneaky then asked her, "Do you ever worry about B catching on to what's going on and putting you out and me out of a job?" Mia snickered, then replied confidently with, "Even if B would catch on, he is still gonna take care of me. He told me no matter what happened between us, he would always be Bishop B. Claus. Anyways, you the one that better hope he don't catch on." Sneaky looked puzzled at Mia, then asked, "Why is that?" Mia replied in a very condescending tone, "Well, think about it like this. Would you want a man that can go all around the world in one day, getting things done all over, has data on almost every known address, and usually can make it back home by 9 a.m. mad at you? Just think if he had all day to think of what he would do to you." Sneaky looked bewildered, then said, "I guess you got a point." Mia was like, "Exactly. Stop being a wussy and fix me another drink, then bring it on over here." Sneaky heads over to the stock bar and makes Mia a drink. Back in the car, everything Buddy was seeing through the binoculars was relayed and being recorded by B's wireless virtual pad. Technology was so good, it was like being at home watching the big screen. Blue Ant watched with B and Blue Ant watched in the Jeep. Sneaky hands me a glass of vodka and juice and explains to her, "You out of goose. I gave you some rock and juice." She begins to drink it down. After a few swallows, she says, "That goose was getting me loose. Now the Ciroc got me hot." Sneaky got in front with Mia and said, "Before we get it on, let me hit you with some of this Patron." Mia was like, "Bring it on." Sneaky is snickering, setting up shots of Patron. He poured 2 shots and threw them back. Mia shouted, "Whoo, that was hot." She made a sucking in air sound with her next breath. Then she looked at Sneaky. Sneaky was like, "You gonna be gone on this Patron," with a sick laugh. "It's about to get busy up in here." Mia takes another swig of Ciroc and twirled her glass over the side of the couch. She takes her robe she had slipped into and opens it up, revealing her bra and panties. Sneaky looks at her and asks, "Is that for me?" Mia said, "Only if you could crawl over here like a dog." And back in the car, B was getting all audio and video feed from Buddy's transmitted device. It was getting a bit steamy in the condo, and B sat there and watched his little wife about to give herself to another man. Blue was feeling that B has had to sit and endure such a thing. "Are you okay?" she asked, as the situation grew intense. Bishop looked over at her and said, "It is what it is." You could hear the somberness in his voice, yet he seemed to have come to terms with what was going on. He then grabbed his cell phone and tangled Bud button. As soon as he answered, there came a knock on Mia's door. Bud told B to hold on. Sneaky got up off his knees. Mia looked at Sneaky then asked, "Who is that?" in a startled tone. Sneaky said, "Give me $50. Mia was like, "For what?" Sneaky said, "I got something I want to surprise you with." Again, there was a knock at the door. Mia said, "Okay." She reached behind her and grabbed her coin purse and took out $50 and gave it to Sneaky. Sneaky then said in a louder tone, "Hold up! Here I come!" He walks up to the peephole and looks out, then opens the door. In comes this hyper fast talking dude. He gives Sneaky a bruh hug, then says, "Where's the 50? Sneaky said, "Here." He hands the dude 2 20s and a 10. The dude said, "Holiday cheers." Yeah, he hands him a little plastic bag with those words on it. Well, it looks like it was just some white powder in it. Then he said, "Enjoy." They dap, then the dude leaves. After the door was locked, Mia asked Sneaky, "Where you know that guy from?" Sneaky looked at her and with his nasty tone he said, "What does it matter? Why you won't ask questions?" Mia looked appalled. Sneaky goes and grabs a plate from the cabinet. He pours out the content of the bag on the dish. Next he takes his work ID and chops up the granules mixed and blend. Mia was almost afraid to say anything, but she wasn't no punk. "What are you doing, Sneaky?" All you could hear was sniff, sniff. Then that snort. All nasal in his reply, he say, "I ain't doing nothing." Then you heard another sniff. He then came out in a voice that sounded like he was trying not to breathe as the rush hit him. He said, "I got something for you." Mia naively asked, "What?" Sneaky came from behind the couch carrying what was left of powder on the plate. He scooped up some of the powder on the corner of his work ID. "Here, take a sniff. It tastes like candy. And it will make you real hard."
Oh, if we only could start over. If we could start over.
Mia looked up at Sneaky and then went ahead and took a snort. Bishop had not hung up Tango, so he told Buddy, "Come on down. I've seen enough." Buddy had seen more than enough himself. He responded, "Okay, B. I'm really sorry you had to see this." Bishop quickly got off the pity pot and said, "Au contraire, my friend. I am glad I saw it with my own 2 eyes." Me and Sneaky went on with their frolicking. But Buddy eased down the pole and came back to the car. There was silence in both cars because no one knew exactly what to say. Some things are better not said. Blue had initiated conversation by saying, "B, you look like you need something to take your mind off what just happened. Let us take you somewhere you can chill and clear your mind." Xavier, still holding the phone, said, "Yeah, B, you need to clear your head." Blue Ann told B over the speakerphone, "She doesn't deserve no one like you." B was a bit bewildered and really showed signs of disconnect for a few seconds. Then he responded, right now I feel numb and a little disappointed. I guess I do need to clear my head. What do you guys want to do? Bud Buddy lit up and said, well, B, I don't know how you will feel about this, but whenever I need to get my mind off of one female, I usually go find another. Blue Ann said, B, let me and Bluette take you out for some drinks at the spot. Bishop questioned, the spot? Bluette said, yeah, B, the spot. You know the place where you met us? The spot. The best adult exotic dance club managed by Raven, a close friend of Bluette and Blue Ann. Bishop had gone in there several years ago. This is where he met Bluette and Blue Ann, and they have been with him ever since. The spot is simply hot. The ladies in this club were not full of cigarette burns, cheap weeds, and torn pantyhose. These were the girls you could only wish they could let you join in as they play. They don't care what the meteorologist said about sunshine outside. It's a different forecast inside because they make it rain, popping that thing. Bluette said, there's some pretty sexy ladies up in there. You know we got the hookup, B. Most of our girlfriends from back in the day. Blue Ann then said, it has been a minute since we've been up in the joint, but I think we all need a drink. Bishop said, all right, let's ride. Take me away from here before I do something rash. Bluette was ready to go, so she said, sure thing, B. Then she said to Xavier and Blue Ann, come on and follow me. Bluette pulls off and Blue Ann right behind her. As they rode, they listened to some jazz. B sits back, lean back, looking out the window. But you can tell he had a lot on his mind.
You're not listening?
After a few minutes of sulking, he picked up his cell and called Legal. The phone rings and Legal picks up. Legal says, hello, Bishop. Bishop then speaks, hello, Legal. I need you to put those papers together for me concerning Mia. It's a wrap. Legal responds in a sincere yet supportive manner. Sorry to hear that, Mr. Claus. It's a good thing that you had that prenuptial in place. B said, yes, indeed. Just make sure you include the severance package for her. I don't want no parts of her anymore. Also draw up the termination and eviction papers for Sneaky L for violating corporate trust. Legal assured B, I'm on it. I'll have them ready for you by morning. Bishop told her, thanks. She said, it'll be okay, B. Love is only as good as the loyalty. B acknowledged, so true. They hang up and B sits back and rides with an optimistic look on his face. Bluette looks at him, then looks back at Blue Ann in the rearview mirror. She looks back over her and gives him a smile. He smiles back. Blue Ann texted Talkie Elf and told him that B knew about me and Sneaky. And from there, Talkie told everybody. Blue Ann drove across town and made it to the club. It's Friday night, the day after Thanksgiving. Quite a few cars on the lot. It's only 7:30.